Hello, everyone. I am Professor Alafia Samuels from the University of the West Indies, and we are very pleased to be collaborating with the Jamaica Council of Churches on this Bible Studies series on nutrition and health. This is session 5, Too Much of One Thing, Good for Nothing, part 2. Today we'll talk about triggers for eating. What is it that makes you really start to eat? The link between eating and mental health, and tips to avoid stress eating and mindless eating. We'll discuss what that is. We eat different things at different times for different reasons. Sometimes what triggers our eating is not that we're hungry. Sometimes we are bored, stressed, lonely. We feel we have a lack of control. We eat watching too much TV and seeing too many ads. So the desire to eat when we are not hungry can be caused or triggered by what we call trigger foods, trigger feelings, or a trigger environment. What are the kinds of trigger foods that we talk about? What is a trigger food? It's a specific food that sets off a course of overeating and you lose control. Most common foods that cause you to do that are calorie-dense, highly palatable foods that are often combinations, and they also don't have a lot of roughage, so there's nothing for your stomach to grip onto. So they would have like a lot of sugar and fat, so like ice cream and cookies, or fat and salt like nuts, potato chips, or French fries. Exposure to these foods activates a certain part of the brain that is called the body's reward system. We shouldn't confuse trigger foods with favorite foods, comfort foods, or food cravings, because we're going to talk about those. So in terms of feelings, emotions, even good or bad, can set off a period of overeating. Emotions such as sadness, anxiety, anger, boredom, stress, or even contentment and happiness. Any of these things can make you start to overeat. So how do you manage that? First of all, we need to identify and name the emotion that is initiating this overeating. So if you start to overeat, say to yourself, I wonder if I am sad or angry or bored. Why am I overeating? So once you understand why you're overeating, then you can have some strategies to cope with the emotion without using the food. So if you are bored, instead of eating, maybe what you need to do is go and take a walk. So another kind of overeating is called stress eating or emotional eating. It involves using food as a coping mechanism to help you feel better. Usually, you are not really hungry physically, but you're eating because you want to soothe or suppress uncomfortable feelings or situations that cause you stress. Stress causes your glands in your body to release a hormone called cortisol, and this leads to an increase in appetite and a desire to eat sugary, salty, or fatty foods. So how do we know if you are really hungry, or what's the difference between emotional hunger and physical hunger? So emotional hunger actually starts suddenly when you're in the situation or you're feeling the feeling. Physical hunger, it goes gradually over time. So you eat breakfast and then 3-4 hours later you say, I could eat something, but an hour after that you say, okay, I'm really hungry now, I have to eat. But that's not emotional. It comes on. Emotional hunger comes on right away. Emotional hunger is felt mostly in your head or on the surface of your thoughts. Physical hunger, you feel it in your stomach. When your stomach is empty, you feel your stomach is empty. Emotional hunger, you become fixated on a specific food or taste or texture. But in physical hunger, you are open to many options. Emotional hunger may trigger feelings of guilt or being ashamed, but physical hunger doesn't make you feel bad about yourself. So how can we address and really stop this stress eating? As we said before, know your stressors. So when you get this emotional hunger that we just described, say to yourself, what emotion is driving this? Am I angry? Am I stressed? Am I unhappy? The other thing to do is to not have unhealthy food in your house. We can also replace stress eating with other activities. A walk, a chat with family or friends, writing, coloring, exercise, meditate on God's word, seek social support, and if necessary, seek professional help. Okay, environments now. Sometimes just the place where you are makes you overeat. Common examples would be like if you walk into a movie theater and you smell the popcorn and everything else that they're selling there. If you go to a buffet restaurant where they have 20 things out and you're supposed to choose, sporting events, also spending too much time in front of the computer or the tablet. And how do we manage that? Again, we have to identify the specific location. When you realize that you're overeating, reflect and say, what is the environment or what is it that is causing me to do this? And of course, just like with trigger foods, you have to avoid the environment. When avoidance is not an option, it's important to develop tactics that minimize overeating. So you need to think to yourself, well, I know this is a situation where I might overeat, so let me try and maybe drink a glass of water to fill up my stomach a little before I go to eat or something like that. Okay, importantly, let's talk about what we eat and our mental health. Unhealthy diets are harmful to the brain. Many studies have shown that if you eat a lot of refined sugar, it makes your brain not function as well. And it can also make you more depressed if you suffer from depression. Healthy eating patterns like the Mediterranean diet may be associated with a reduction in the risk of depression by more than 25% compared to those who eat the standard Western diet. How does this happen though? How does what we eat affect our mental health? Well, there are some hormones in the body which are affected by what we eat. These hormones regulate sleep and appetite and how you're feeling, and so that may affect how much you eat. Diet also affects the amount of healthy bacteria in the stomach. And healthy bacteria in the gut produce about 90% of this hormone. And there is a link between healthy bacteria in your gut and lower rates of depression. They call it the gut microbiome. It is important for us to eat a healthy diet so that we can have healthy bacteria in our body to help us. Our mental health can also be affected because if we eat the wrong types of food, there is something called inflammation. So a lot of diets that we recommend high in fruits and vegetables, it's because they have things called antioxidants and anti-inflammatory agents in the food, and that reduces your risk of depression. So eat natural, your brain and your mood will thank you for that. Mood disorders such as depression and anxiety may also affect the way we eat. So what we eat affects our mood, and then our mood can also affect what we eat. If you are having depression and anxiety, this sometimes will cause either a loss of appetite or an increase in appetite. Our mind is a powerful tool that we can use to influence the quality and quantity of what we eat. So tips to avoid mindless eating: use visual clues to remind yourself how much you have already eaten, buy smaller packages, or serve out the food in smaller plates or smaller bowls, use taller water glasses, reduce the variety of food colors and tastes, and keep certain foods out of sight, or better yet, out of the house. Make it convenient to snack and reach foods that are healthy. Eat slowly and savor the full feeling. Beware of foods that are labeled health foods. The health foods are the ones that God gave us straight out of the ground. They don't come in tins. Don't buy in bulk because then you feel you have to eat it because you have it. Focus on the food while you're eating. Don't watch TV or social media or all of that stuff. Focus on the food and enjoy the food. The other thing you can do is to keep a food diary where you write down everything that you eat for the day. It's very interesting to see that. Thank you very much, and we'll talk next time.